Good morning, everybody. Today we're taking a ride in the 2013 Camaro 2SS1LE XYZ LMNOP. Anyway, so we're taking a ride in the Camaro. This will be the first ever car video that I've done, at least, while on the road and whatnot. So that'd be cool. Figured it's a little bit of a rainy day. I didn't want to take the bike today, so I figured, what the heck, we'll do a car video. It's going to be 76 degrees here in upstate New York. It is March 6th, and that is really, really, really good weather for this time of year for here. Just to put it in a frame of reference, we had a little bit of snow May 14th last year. Now, granted, it had been good weather before then, but point is, our weather can vary and be cold well into what most people would consider their summer. So, anyway, enough of rambling about that. So, what I want to discuss today is why this car, why not something comparable, and what my thought process was back when I bought it. So I got this in 2017, October actually, which again, for this part of the country is kind of a weird time to buy a car like this, but I think it helped me get a good, a decent price on it. So basically, I had a 90-mile commute at the time, and I'm like, I want to keep some miles off my old truck, right? It was well over 100,000 at that point, and I just wanted something else too to drive, and I'm a big car guy, so I just wanted something else in general. So I said to myself, all right, let me look for something fun but sensible, right? Maybe like a standard Honda Civic type thing, or a Jetta or whatever. Okay, I'm going. I flashed my lights. Sorry to trick you there. Yeah, just something fun but practical, right? Good fuel economy, maybe like a diesel Jetta. I don't know, whatever it would be. So I was looking at stuff like that, and I was looking at brand new or gently used. I wouldn't want a. The problem is a lot of cheaper cars like that, especially if they're standard, right? They get completely beat by their drivers. I mean, something like this does too in a lot of ways, but they're a little heavier duty maybe and can take it. I don't know. Anyway, so I want something new or close to new, and I was looking at pricing and everything else, and everything was 20 to 30,000 for kind of what I was looking at, and I don't really even know exactly why I started looking at Camaros. But I started looking at mid-2000s Pontiac GTOs. Started looking at these Camaros, the 2010 to 15 generation, just price-wise mainly. And then I started looking at the BMW, some of the older BMWs, like the like an E92, E90, like that, those era with the 4.4 V8. I think those are freaking awesome cars. I still kind of want one, but we'll go into that later. But anyway, so I was looking at, that was kind of the things I was looking at. And I was looking at pricing and age, and the Pontiac GTOs were really cool. They were pretty cheap too. You could get like a really, really clean one with lower miles for like 15 grand, 20 grand. But you're still spending 15, 20 grand on at the time, 10, 15-year-old car, right? So kind of a lot of money to put down for an older car, even despite being really, really clean. So I don't know, I kind of swayed myself away from that. Plus they're like 4,100 pounds. They were less powerful than these cars, and I'm like, you know what, if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, I want to get the most performance bang for my buck, right? That Pontiac, I'd be kind of tempted to maybe modify it off the rip. So I started looking at these. Now a regular SS Camaro, any of the regular SS Camaros with the standard had the LS3 with 426 horsepower, 450 torque, whatever it is, 430 torque, I don't even know. But a good healthy power. They have the new Gen 4 style LS motor, which I'm a big Gen 3 fan for my truck, but the Gen 4 just makes more power, better flowing heads. You can throw a cam in these and make like an easy 100 horse without much trying. So I don't know, just a really, really like modifiable platform, and great just stock too, so I could kind of take the car wherever I felt like. And then I was looking at these, and all over eBay and just dealer websites, you could pick one of these cars up for under 30 with like GM certified, like under 30,000 miles, you know, so it's like 30K, 30,000 miles for like a nice, you know, 2SS, just regular Camaro. Those are some bright lights in that Tesla, dang. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, you know, it's a little bit more than I wanted to spend. Like, I was trying to be closer to that 20 mark, not the 30 mark, but I'm like, for the right car, you know, I'll push it a little bit. I can afford it, you know. And so I was looking at everything, and then I stumbled upon this one. So this one happened to be local to me, actually right on my way home from work. It's almost like they plan these things. But so I go look at this car. Now, I'll be completely honest with you, I didn't even really know what the 1LE package was when I first looked at it. I knew this had really nice wheels and it had a black hood, and I liked that. And so I went and drove it, and I realized it has the dual mode exhaust, which is just loud and burbly and cool. And you know, I realized, because I've driven the other fifth gen Camaros before, and it just handled better. Like, even just in the test drive, I could tell like the steering was more precise and it was a little stiffer. And I'm like, wow, this is like kind of a serious car. So, you know, I went home and I'm like, well, I gotta like look this thing up and figure out like what I just drove, right? So I look it up and I realize what the 1LE is. I realize how few they made. I realize kind of, I don't want to say it's special, but how kind of unique this car is. I mean, it's the BMW M3 killer, you know, for brand new, half the price kind of thing. Like, it's a lot of car for the money. So, you know, a lot of, yes, there are things about an older Chevrolet, right? Plastic interiors, whatever. So it's not perfect, but it's still a lot of car for the money. So I put some thought into it, and they were asking 25, 26, 27 grand, something like that. 26, 27. And it had some paint damage. It needed some paint work. And, you know, I didn't want to have to buy the car and immediately send it to a body shop. That just didn't sit right with me. It was GM certified at 26,000 miles. So I said to him, I'm like, look, I want the car. Give it to me for 25 and fix the paint. And I made the offer contingent on them doing a good job fixing the paint, because not that a dealership would really do this, but you know, I didn't want them freaking hack and pack body shop the you know, the body work and then make it look like crap, and now I'm locked into buying this car and I'm not really getting what I wanted, right? So anyway, they did a beautiful job in the paint work. You know, I bought the car and started driving it around and just kind of, I literally use this thing as a daily driver, you know, in the summertime and stuff. And, you know, so for like a couple of months before winter, I'm just like, cool, you know, cool car, whatever. Didn't really think much of it. And then over the winter time, I got bored and I started watching videos. And I started realizing, like, dang, like these 1LEs are, there's something, right? They're not like just a, not that there's anything wrong with a regular SS Camaro. I love them, but they're not just an SS Camaro. They really, the sum is greater than the parts, so to speak, almost, with these cars. You know, that was just kind of the internet consensus I had gotten. And I watched like the Smoking Tires video on the white 2015, I think, 1LE that he test drove, and that one was modified, but he loved that car. He loved that car, and you know, I've always respected his content. I feel like he knows what he's talking about. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I was watching I think it's Motor Trend. I can't remember, but I think it's in a Motor Trend video. But they take it around some track in California. Man, I can't remember the name of it either. I don't know. Anyway, but they were saying how this car handles, or went around the track in a similar time as like an older Ferrari. And I'm like, yeah, and I got thinking about it, right? I'm like, well, the 0 to 60 is there, and you know, it's got the horsepower to weight ratio of an older Ferrari, and it handles apparently well enough. And I'm like, how cool is this, right? You have like a 1990s supercar, or early 2000s maybe even, you know, like lower end supercar for $20-some thousand with low miles and GM certified. Like, can you really beat that in the big scheme of things? I mean, yes, you go on YouTube and you see people with 2,000 horsepower Dodge Vipers and this and that, and you know, some guy's got a 2,000 horsepower diesel truck and he's blowing away Corvettes and whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I'm driving to work at 63 miles an hour. I don't know if you can see, but I don't really like necessarily need 1,000 horsepower. like that's just become the thing online, right? It's like you either have 1,000 horsepower or you may as well not put your car up there. But it's like, well, I mean, for anybody who's driving somewhat normally on the street, it kind of just goes to waste, in my opinion. You know, well, just factually it goes to waste because you have a lot of power you can't use up top. So for me to have a 300 to 500 horsepower car, let's say, you know, that to me is kind of a nice sweet spot. I mean, I like where this car is power level. I mean, you can, you know, like we'll downshift into fourth. It's just like a mid RPM range. When you roll into it, it'll get you where you're going plenty fast enough. You know, and it's fast enough to be fun, right? But the nice thing is it's not so fast that you need the stickiest possible tire and you got to heat them up and you can only drive the thing when it's 95 in Florida. You know, it doesn't need any crazy fuels. I mean, this thing runs off of 87 fine. I do put premium in it, but I've put 87 in it before. It fixes it, changes the timing, and it runs fine. So it gives you a little bit more, it just gives you a little bit more leeway and just flexibility, right? You know, if you hop up a car so much, and don't get me wrong, they're phenomenal and they're cool and I'd love to drive them. I've driven a Hellcat, like, they're awesome cars. I'm not putting them down, but you get a car hopped up to that level and it becomes, you know, an already expensive thing to maintain and own becomes that much more expensive and that much more troublesome because, you know, it just, the more power you have, the more things break and the more gas you use and the more tire you go through, and you know, you wind up using your brakes because you're going to higher speeds, and it all compounds, right? It's not like it's just the purchase price of the car. You know, it's the purchase price and then all the running costs that change. So yeah, I guess I feel like these 1LE Camaros are a really, really cool sweet spot of like straight line performance, cornering performance, relative cheap cost to buy initially. You know, you have less systems on them, right? Like ZL1 Camaro with the supercharger and everything. You know, that is just more stuff that can, you know, malfunction, right? You know, I have basically the same motor as a ZL1 without the supercharger, so it's a little bit less stuff. So that always comes in handy. Yeah, so I don't know. I think for your average Joe who's not trying to win every drag race and in the hype of the YouTube, you know, muscly car world, I think that these are a really cool blend of all the, you know, elements of. It's a blend of like your normal commuter car and a blend of your 1,000 horsepower car, and it's like right in the middle, right? It has right in the middle power and kind of right in the middle handling and tire choice and whatever, but it's kind of a jackknife of cars, right? It can do a little bit of everything. It won't do anything perfect, but it'll do everything pretty well, and that's, I think, what I really, really love about this car. And I just love it's fun to drive, and I think it looks really cool, so there's just a lot of perks from that perspective. But anyway, I'll stop rambling on about this car. We'll definitely have some more cool videos coming with it. We'll get to some car meets and shows hopefully this year if they, you know, if we have any. Last year was tough. And then we'll also, you know, definitely want to get it to an autocross at minimum this year. Maybe even like a track day or something, but that has a lot of financial implications in and of itself, so we'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching, and get you guys in the next one.